How's everybody doing? I'm Brett Mix. This is week 5 of the Monday Night Wars. It taped place on October 9th, 1995. It was taped still from the Grand Rapids, Michigan Civic Center, September the 25th and September the 27th, 1995. But this Raw took place October the 9th, 1995, as it was a taped Raw. For the first time, both Raw and Nitro last week drew a tie with a 2.5 rating. Both of them had 2.5. This week, we'll waste no time getting to the ratings. This week's Raw drew at 2.6, so 100,000 more people watched it. The only problem with that is Nitro also drew a 2.6, so for the second straight week, they've tied, and those are the only ties in the history of the 5 weeks so far that we've gone over. This is the 5th week here. So both Raw and Nitro both drew a 2.6, and both, you'll see in the Nitro review why they drew an extra 100,000, and you can see in the Raw review right now why they drew an extra 100,000. There was good star power. McMahon and King were on commentary. First, I'd like to just pump the channel for a second. Hit like and subscribe if you like following along with history of wrestling, the Monday Night Wars. I also stick up to date with Raw, SmackDown, and current events, so if you're not already subscribed, I invite you to do so. Secondly, let's get to the Raw rating right now, 2.6. Let's get to the Raw review right now. McMahon and King are on commentary, and we open up week 5 with a 6-man tag. It's Camp Cornette, Owen Hart, Yokozuna, and the British Bulldog. They're with Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji. They take on Diesel, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. So that's a pretty stacked lineup to open up Raw with. Cornette goes nuts on the outside as the faces are dominating the heels, as there's no rules really for the first couple minutes. The referee let everything go. Then the Bulldog is pummeled by Diesel. They would meet at In Your House Great White North for the WWF title in 2 weeks from this Raw. Diesel with Yokozuna. He had a clothesline. Diesel then tagged in The Undertaker, who did an old school. It wasn't old school at the time, obviously, because this is the old school. And The Undertaker hit his top rope move with the clothesline as he comes off the top rope with amazing agility for a big man. Waylon Mercy then comes to the front. He was a Charles Manson type. Charles Manson mixed with Bray Wyatt. Waylon Mercy, he was an insane heel that didn't get much of a rub. He only got like a month or two in the spotlight. He watched the match from the front stage where the Raw letters are. He watched from there as the Bulldog scoops up HBK and slams him to the canvas, takes in Owen Hart. This match was basically Owen and the Bulldog with Shawn Michaels in the ring for most of the match. Diesel, Taker, and Yoko on the outside were just small factors. Bulldog and Owen pretty much, they carried most of the bulk. Shawn, with his selling, create most of the bulk. Diesel and Taker would get the hot tag here and there and dominate slowly, but dominate nonetheless. Shawn Michaels was just so much faster than both of them, because Taker was still in his zombie state, and Diesel's Diesel. So that's the easiest way I can explain that. The British Bulldog gets a near fall. HBK then picked up by the hair. The Bulldog dominating and holding on to Owen Hart for leverage. They worked so well as a tag team. Owen Hart with the aerial technical skills, Bulldog with the power. They just had everything for a tag team, Owen and the Bulldog. I think they're one of the most underrated tag teams in history. The Bulldog choked out HBK again behind the referee as Cornette was distracting the ref. HBK is in trouble as we go to commercial. Bulldog and Owen again double team Shawn. Dean Douglas now comes to the ring. Waylon Mercy's gone, so Dean Douglas comes to the Raw stage where the Raw letters are, and he's doing grades on the wrestlers. Great work to get heels over while you're doing a 6-man tag. You don't want to cut to a promo to distract what's going on. So have heel characters come to the ring and, study or do their gimmick. Waylon Mercy's gimmick is just to stare and be diabolical. Well, Dean Douglas's gimmick is to make grades, so he's writing grades. So it's a good way to get characters over while the wrestling's going on. So McMahon knew what he was doing. Outside not being live. I mean, he didn't know Bischoff was going to give his results away, but he'd be live soon enough. I think the Raw right after this is live, but tune into that to find that out. That'll be the 6th week. We're in the 5th week here, and again, this Raw drew a 2.6, so that's more, and I think it had to do with the fact that they advertised the 6-man tag, and that's 100,000 more viewers. That's quite a bit, so you had to think it's because they advertised the 6-man tag here. And it's a great 6-man tag, to be honest, even though Owen, Bulldog, and Shawn built up the bulk of it. And that's why it was great, because Owen and Shawn in the ring is just tremendous chemistry, even better than Brett and Sean, I think. Yeah, Camp Cornette's team wins at 11:46 after Yoko interfered on the Bulldogs' behalf. What happened was the referee wasn't looking, and Yokozuna dropped a leg on Diesel, and then the Bulldog power slammed Diesel and got the 3 count. So it was a dirty, it was a clean victory, but it was dirty at the same time. And Bulldog pinning the WWF champion Diesel at the time was a huge upset. So that was a big shock. And I give the match 3 stars and a quarter. I thought it was a great opener, and I thought it was a great 6-man tag. Again, basically because of Owen and Sean mostly. Afterwards, Dean Douglas attacked HBK at ringside. Diesel was attacked by King Mabel. Mabel attacked Taker. There was just shenanigans. The faces got the shit kicked out of them by the heels. The Bulldog attacked Diesel some more. And then after a commercial, the faces stood up and the fans gave them an ovation like they do in NFL or the NHL when a football or hockey player gets up from an injury and they give them the clap. That's how they did for the baby faces when they got up. Then they showed clips of Bret Hart with Isaac Yankem and Jerry Lawler for the next minute, or next 10 minutes, I should say. And they previewed, because Bret Hart takes on Isaac Yankem next week in a cage match, so that's why they did that. Fatu takes on Skip next with Sonny, so it's the future Rikishi taking on the late Chris Candido, who has his real-life girlfriend Tammy Sitch at ringside. Fatu channels his inner Rikishi as he dances around while he's beating up Skip. This is the pre-Stinkface days, of course, so Sonny and Skip don't know how lucky they are to get away from Fatu. A leapfrog and a big crossbody gets the victory for Fatu as he wins at 5:49. It was a decent match. I gave it 2 stars and a quarter. Afterwards, Doc Hendricks is backstage saying he'll have a report on HBK, Diesel, and Taker if they come out. Jim Ross interviews Cornette, and Bulldog cuts a heel promo about how he did the impossible. King Mabel comes in and tells Bulldog he did the impossible. He did what he couldn't do, and that's beat Diesel. And it's full funny in retrospect watching Jim Cornette talk about Diesel like he's this unbeatable force, when we know that in his shoot promos in 97 on Raw, Cornette says Nash was the biggest no talent in the business. So hearing him talk about Diesel in retrospect, about how he's so great and how the Bulldog did the impossible, is pretty hilarious. And they both they just put over their In Your House, which happens 13 days after the taping of this, not the taping date, but after the Raw aired. 13 days from after this Raw aired, the In Your House event took place, the Great White North in Winnipeg. So they just previewed all the matches. Diesel took on Bulldog, Mabel took on Taker. So they just pretty much, the promos were centered around that. So all-time record now for Raw and Nitro. Raw has 2 wins. Nitro has 1 win. And they've tied twice. And this is the second straight week they've tied. Those are the only weeks they've tied. So next week, in week 6, we'll see if there can be a decisive winner for the first time in 3 weeks. But this week is a draw, 2.6 in the ratings, just like last rating was 2.6. TV quality-wise, I rate the Raws out of 10 each week, and I do it basically for what they could do with the talent they have at the time. That's how I base it out of 10. So I don't rate the Raw, like I don't compare it to an Attitude Era Raw that is 2 hours, or a Today Raw that's 3 hours. So I gave this Raw 7.5 out of 10 for the 1 hour it had, for the talent they had to work with and what they did, taking into account the promo build and all that. So I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, which is the highest I've given a Raw so far. I gave it a 7 out of 10 last week, 6.54 and 6.5 respectively in the weeks all previous. So 7.5 out of 10 for this week's Monday Night Raw, October the 9th, 1995. They had a good 6-man tag. They had a good match with Skip Fatu. They had good video packages and promos to hype up In Your House, the Great White North. Thank you for everybody that's watching along. Even if you're not watching the Monday Night Wars with this, you can at a future date, and then you can go back to these videos and watch them along and take them that way. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's a fun time to be a wrestling fan when you can go back and relive the Monday Night Wars. So whenever you do, come back to these videos. And have a good one, guys. We'll see you on the next Raw review. Be sure to check out the Nitro review that I always put side by side with Raw. I'm Brett Mix for October 9th, 1995 Raw, and I'm out.